Time now to dive into the world of K-sports. And for that, we've got our sportscaster, Jason Lee, in the studio. Welcome back, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hello.
All right, Jason. So we're just a few days away from the start of the Winter Olympics in Milan and Cortina. And I can't wait until we get into our Olympic preview. But what else do we have on the menu today?
Well, we had six Korean ladies competing in the LPGA season opening tournament of champions. I'll update you on how they did. Kim Shi-yu was in the hunt again on the men's tour. And is it possible that the Asian Winter Games could come to Korea in just 3 years from now? Well, that and, of course, as you mentioned, I'll have a preview as to what's going on with the Korean medal hopefuls at the Olympics is coming up.
Great. Okay, let's start with the LPGA then. We had a great year 2025 for the ladies on the tour, but did they have a good start off to 2026?
Another good start off, I guess you could say. Of course, you're referring to the fact that Kim Ah-rim won the LPGA season opening tournament of champions last year. So she is the defending champ, and it wasn't as successful as a year ago in that, well, a Korean did not win this time around. That's because American Nelly Korda was the actual winner. She took the event by 3 strokes over second place Amy Yang of Korea. I've got to say it's quite unfortunate for Amy as well as a lot of the other Koreans because the final round was actually canceled. So after the 3 rounds were played, they deemed it to be too windy, too cold. So they said, oh, we're just going to end the tournament now, which does happen on occasion. So Nelly Korda was the champion. Meanwhile, 5 Koreans placed in the top 9, including Hwang Yumin, Lee So-mi, Ryu Hae-ran, and defending champion Kim Ah-rim joining Amy Yang as top 9 finishers. So the only other Korean competing was Im Jin-hee, and she finished 33rd. So all in all, for the most part, most of the Korean ladies did very well in the season opening event. It was just unfortunate that Amy Yang couldn't really push Nelly Korda for a chance in the final round.
Well,
Yes.
weather matters a lot.
I know, but it is impressive. 5 Koreans made it out of the top 9, right?
Yeah.
So very impressive there. So we've talked about LPGA. We'll also talk about PGA now. Kim Si-yu in the hunt again this week, and this is kind of becoming a regular thing, it feels like.
Talk about it, right? He's been red hot to
I
open the
know.
season. I mean, yeah, it was just last week he finished in a tie for 6th after enjoying the 3rd round lead for, well, at least a day. But this week at the Farmers Insurance Open, he tied for 2nd with 2 others, albeit 7 strokes behind the winner, Justin Rose, who broke the tournament record with his 23 under score. So a huge tournament that he had. But hey, Kim Si-yu finished 11th in the season opener in Hawaii just 2 weeks ago. So he's now finished 11th, 6th, and now 2nd. I think it's fair to say that he's due to win in the upcoming weekend tour in Phoenix. We'll have to wait and see, though.
Crossing fingers.
Yeah.
Yes, 11th, 6th, 2nd. He's
And
going
now?
up.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, and now let's move over to football, European football to be more exact. I강인 has made his first appearance of 2026 with Paris Saint-Germain. Tell us more about it.
That's right. I강인 had been out the past month and a half with a thigh injury, but he played this weekend as a sub. He entered the game at the 60-minute mark, and he made his presence made known immediately. He helped out on the deciding goal by Nuno Mendes. He didn't score the goal to make the immediate assist. He wasn't credited for it, but he did begin the play, so he was involved in everything. And just when you watch the game and the highlights, you can see how much that he had been contributing. Overall, he looked really good, not just offensively, but he made a couple of really nice defensive plays as well. He played really, really smart, and he looks to be back to his normal self. So, I think showing that he's played well here as a sub, perhaps we'll see more of him in regular time in both League One as well as the Champions League, and hopefully I'll be able to give some more positive updates on I강인 in the future.
All right, looking forward to that.
Yes.
Yes,
definitely. Jibong in Korean. Yes, and we want to now talk about something you mentioned in the preview. It might be possible for Korea to be hosting Winter Asian Games in 2029. So is this really happening? Is this really possible?
Wouldn't that be crazy if this
would be.
actually
Oh,
happened?
yes.
And let me just say that it's not a zero chance. There is a chance. We're miles away from this being a certainty, but preliminary discussions are being held right now about that possibility. Now, why is this? I mean, after all, doesn't it take like 5 or 10 years to organize an event and to, declare a winner after the bidding process of all of this takes place? I mean, that's normally the case. But what's happened is Saudi Arabia was originally scheduled to host the 2029 Winter Games based on winning the bid back in 2022. Now, this was all part of their huge, like, $1 trillion NEOM project that included creating a ski resort in the desert. Amazingly difficult, but that's what they're trying to do. And you may have seen in the news more recently that some of those projects, like the Line and Trojena, where the ski events were to be held, have not been progressing as planned. So they have since postponed the NEOM 2029 Asian Winter Games indefinitely. And Korea has shown interest in taking over responsibility to host those games. Now, remember, Korea last hosted the Asian Winter Games 1999. That was in Gangwon-do province. But of course, they just recently hosted the Winter Olympic Games in Pyeongchang in 2018. So they definitely have the ability to host the games. They have the infrastructure. The one challenge that they would have would be the opening and closing ceremonies. I don't know if you know this, but for the opening and closing ceremonies for the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, the stadium that was there that we all saw on TV, it was actually a makeshift stadium. They built it specifically for the opening and closing ceremonies and also for the Paralympic Games opening and closing ceremonies a couple weeks after. And then after those were done, it was all kind of brought back down and kind of shuttled off. So there's nothing actually there. There's no footprint left behind for the stadium. So if they were to host the Asian Winter Games in 2029, they would have to create a new stadium or maybe build another makeshift one. But that would be the one obstacle. And I'm sure those are things that are being discussed right now.
And I guess it was an economic decision for Korea back then with that makeshift stadium. Probably.
I think because the problem for a lot of places, especially for the Winter Olympics, is you don't want to have a white elephant where you create a big 40, 50,000 seat stadium, and then after these games are done, what are you going to do with it? Right. All of a sudden, you have to keep the infrastructure up and employees keeping the maintenance level of things. So it can cost more than it's shared down the road. So I think it was actually a really smart decision to just do it the way they did. But now becomes the question, do they do that again?
Right.
But, and will they even get it? So it's a possibility. Once again, it's a slim chance, but at the same time, it is very possible.
It's a very interesting situation, far from a done deal.
Yes.
But if someone can do pali fast, it's Korea, I would have
Very
to say.
true. Yes.
All right, and speaking of Winter Games, let's go to the Winter Olympics and our preview. Jason, who are we previewing for the Milan Cortina Games today?
Well, I want to talk about the long track speed skaters of Team Korea. And they're often overlooked by Korea's short track speed skating team because they've been obviously so successful. But Korea's long track team, well, they've made great strides, especially over the last decade and a half. It wasn't until 2010 Winter Games in Vancouver that Korea ever won a gold medal in long track speed skating. And at those games, they won 2, as both Motebom and Lee Sang-hwa captured gold in the men's and women's 500-meter sprints, respectively. Now, Korea typically doesn't do very well in the longer distances, like the 3,000-meter and the 5,000-meter. But, I think those golds in Vancouver, they've brought a lot more anticipation and attention towards the sport. And of course, having the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics in 2018 right here in Korea, it's now provided Korea a top-notch long track skating facility to train at and to host events at. So for these games, Korea's hopes are going to lie with Kim Jun-ho in the men's 500-meter. I wouldn't call him the favorite, but he does have a win on the World Cup circuit this year in Calgary, and he placed 6th in Beijing just 4 years ago. So I think a medal would definitely be within his reach, even if he's not the favorite. And if things go his way, he could possibly come out with a gold medal as well. Now, another long track speed skating event that's kind of newer, it's become one of my favorites in the winter, is called the Mass Start. And this is basically like short track speed skating meets long track speed skating, because it's like short track, but it's on the big oval. And Koreans obviously have been very successful at this. Park Ji-woo is Korea's top female in the Mass Start, and she's actually going to be Korea's flag bearer for the opening ceremonies, along with figure skater Cha Jun-hwan. On the men's side, Jung Jae-won is the guy to keep your eye on, and as I've mentioned before, it's a really fun event to watch.
Definitely looking forward to that. And before we let you go, Jason, what are you looking most forward to for the Olympics?
You know, okay, so I used to be an NHL reporter when I worked in Vancouver. So a lot of people think that hockey is like my favorite sports at the Olympics. But to be totally honest, that's the last thing that I like to watch, because I can watch NHL hockey and like top level hockey all the time at the professional level. So when it comes to the Winter Olympics, I actually prefer watching the people that you only really care about every 4 years. So watching your speed skating events, watching curling, watching snowboarding and things like that. So I think those are the things that I'm going to enjoy most. In terms of which athlete am I going to be most interested in, hands down, it is Chae Ga-eun in the snowboarding, the 17-year-old Korean sensation. Of course, Chloe Kim, the American sensation, she's going after an unheralded or an unprecedented third straight gold medal. But look out, because Chae Ga-eun has been red hot as of late. I think this is going to be a real interesting battle to watch.
Okay, so next week we're probably going to have some results already to talk
Absolutely,
about.
yes.
So looking forward to that. And thank you very much for today's sports updates, Jason.
Thank you.
And thank you, Bella, as always. We're going to have you back here on Thursday.
Yes, I'll see you back on Thursday.